Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2021 Michigan Medicine Memorial Service. I want to thank each of you for being here. I'm Chaplain Bruce Paul, one of the chaplains here at Michigan Medicine, and the chair of the Adult Memorial Committee. I want to take a moment to recognize that the world changed early in 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic that has impacted all of us. We were unable to gather last spring to hold our annual Michigan Medicine Memorial, and so this year, though we are gathering virtually, we are united in honoring loved ones who have died over the past 2 years, both in 2019 and in 2020. We celebrate their light and life and share not only our grief, but also our hope. Stars are openings in the sky where our loved ones shine bright is our ongoing theme for the Michigan Medicine Adult Memorial. We have named a star in honor of your loved ones. The name of the star is Saudade or Saudade 2020. Saudade is a Portuguese word for the love that remains, sadness from missing someone loved, happiness from experiencing their love. These are the coordinates of the star we named so you can locate it. They're also included on the invitation postcard we sent you. So the next time you look up at the beautiful shining stars, remember that one of those stars is named in honor of your loved one. And may you always remember their love and their light. I would like to point out that the Q&A is live now, and we will be posting links to grief processing resources, as well as the star coordinates. There will be a recording available, I believe, on YouTube, so you will be able to view it there in the future as well. At Michigan Medicine, we are proud to celebrate our diverse cultures, and so today's readings are poems from various traditions of faith read by our nurses and chaplains. On behalf of the Adult Memorial Committee, I'd like to thank all of our speakers, readers, and performing artists who volunteered to make today's program possible. But most of all, thanks to all of you for allowing us to honor and remember your loved ones with you. At this time, it's my honor to introduce to you the Interim Chief Nursing Officer for University Hospital and Franco Cardiovascular Center at Michigan Medicine. Please join me in welcoming Kathy Kendrick.
On behalf of the entire Michigan Medicine Health System, I would like to welcome families and friends of our former patients who lost their lives over the past 2 years to COVID, to cancer, or any other health conditions. I would like to start by using a Dr. Virginia Henderson quote to define our functions as healthcare providers. Like Virginia Henderson, I believe that the unique function of the healthcare provider is to assist the individual, sick or well, in the performance of those activities contributing to health or its recovery or to a peaceful death, that he would perform unaided if she or he had the necessary strength, will, or knowledge. At Michigan Medicine, we are committed to that sentiment, being there for our patients and families during life. And after death, we turn our focus to providing comfort, compassion, and support to our families and survivors during their grief and loss. Our presence and our thoughts during this memorial service is our meaningful way of acknowledging to you that the death of your loved one matters to us as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kathy. And now, with a reading from the Native American tradition, from the Office of Decedent Affairs, please welcome Lisbeth Harcourt.
Thank you, Bruce. Being able to participate in this adult memorial service is a meaningful way for staff to connect with everyone who has experienced a death at Michigan Medicine. This matters to us, and we're here today grieving with you. I'd like to read an adaptation from the poem "Do Not Stand at My Grave" by Mary Fry. I give you this one thought to keep. I am still with you, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints in the snow. I am the sunlight on a ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awake in morning's hush. I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not think of me as gone. I am with you in each new dawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Lizbeth. I now have the pleasure of introducing our first speaker. From the Division of Pulmonary and Critical Care Medicine, please welcome Dr. Jake Mcsparring.
Thank you very much for the invitation to speak at this incredible event. I want to start by acknowledging the emptiness that we are all feeling. I am sorry for the inexplicable losses that you have experienced. These are holes that cannot be filled with words. I know that my words will not fill that emptiness, and I will not try to accomplish this. I am only hopeful that I can celebrate the lives of those we have lost, that I can recognize the impact that these individuals have had on us and the world, and that I can help us realize, despite the emptiness, we are connected as we grieve. And yet, at a time when we need to be surrounded by others and supporting each other so we can grieve together, we are apart. We should be in a room together, reminiscing together, perhaps laughing together as we recall the joys of the past, perhaps crying together as we share the pain of the present and uncertainty of the future. We should be together as we celebrate those who are no longer here. But I am standing alone, staring at a camera, and it is very difficult to feel connected. While so much of the past year has been focused on COVID, and while this devastating pandemic is responsible for so much of the loss and emptiness, these next few minutes are not about the virus. These moments are about our family members, our friends, our colleagues that we have lost. This time is for reflection and celebration of those to whom we have said goodbye. This is about them, their incredible lives, and their legacies that will continue on. The majority of my clinical work is in the intensive care unit, and frequently my patients are sedated or unable to communicate. I rarely get to ask them what they are worried about, what they like to be called, what kind of music they like, who they want at their bedside, what they are most proud of, and countless other questions. I still ask these questions, but I ask them of family members and loved ones. I get to know my patients often through the voices of those that surround them in their darkest days. I frequently find myself saying that I can tell what kind of a person this patient is based on those who are here speaking for him or her. And each day that I practice, I am humbled as I watch patients and caregivers face illness and uncertainty during some of the most challenging days imaginable. This strength and bravery should be celebrated. And no matter how much we are hurting and missing those who are not with us today, take comfort in that most human aspect of life and death. In medicine, especially in the intensive care unit, we often refer to the patients that we carry with us, those we carry. Sometimes these are stories of heroic efforts that paid off, but most frequently, these are the cases that did not end as we hoped. These are the experiences that keep us awake and bring us to tears decades later. These are important stories to tell, and they speak to the shared history of patients, loved ones, nurses, physicians, and so many more. But today, this moment of our shared grief is not only about those we carry. Today is about those who carry us. These individuals who can no longer sit beside us, hold our hands, embrace us. These are the people who carry us and will continue to carry us. We will move through this grief in part because they are still with us, supporting us and carrying us forward. Some days it is hard to go back to places that remind us of the loss and pain. For me, it is sometimes hard to go back to the hospital where we have lost so many. But I do go back, like so many others, like all of you go back to many places. And I go back because of the people we are celebrating today, because of those who carry us. And this is a gift that those who are not here will continue to give us for years to come. Thank you all for sharing this time of grief and hope. Those we have lost will be with us always. May their memory be a blessing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mcsparring. Now we have a poetry reading in the Christian tradition. Please welcome an outstanding nurse from our medical short stay unit, recipient of the 2021 Daisy Award, Glenna Soriano.
Thank you, Reverend Bruce. I Measure Every Grief I Meet by Emily Dickinson. I measure every grief I meet with narrow, probing eyes. I wonder if it weighs like mine or has an easier size. I wonder if they bore it long or did it just begin. I could not tell the date of mine. It feels so old a pain. I wonder if it hurts to live and if they have to try, and whether, could they choose between, it would not be to die. I note that some, gone patient long, at length renew their smile, an imitation of a light that has so little oil. I wonder if when years have piled some thousands on the harm that hurt them early, such a lapse could give them any balm. Or would they go on aching still through centuries of nerve, enlightened to a larger pain in contrast with the love? The grieved are many, I am told. There is the various cause. Death is but one, and comes but once, and only nails the eyes. There's grief of want and grief of cold, a sort they call despair. There's banishment from native eyes in sight of native air. And though I may not guess the kind correctly, yet to me a piercing comfort it affords in passing Calvary. To note the fashions of the cross and how they're mostly worn, still fascinated to presume that some are like my own.
Thank you, Glenna. It is my pleasure to welcome our next speaker, another of our outstanding nurses, from the 7 West Bone Marrow Transplant Unit, Josette Schembri.
Thank you, Bruce. Autonomy, beneficence, justice, and non-maleficence. These are the 4 main principles of the Nursing Code of Ethics. The Nightingale Pledge, our solemn oath as we enter the world of nursing to uphold our responsibilities and scope of care with integrity and compassion for all. Autonomy has been defined by the American Nurses Association as the ability to recognize each patient's right to self-determination and decision-making. As nurses, we are the patient's advocate. It is our duty to support our patients in their medical wishes and to ensure the medical team is honoring those. This has been especially important in this past year. During this pandemic, our patients have been under even tighter and more restrictive safety measures than usual for our bone marrow transplant standards. The entire hospital has been on lockdown at times, restricting only those essential to enter. Each day we enter the hospital, we are privileged. We have the honor and trust to provide safe and compassionate care to our patients, and we are the human connection that our patients are often speaking of missing. We ease the worry of being hospitalized during a pandemic, the isolation they've experienced at home, knowing that they are high risk of complications from any illness, and more than ever, our voices need to be stronger to advocate for our patients and families. The second principle is beneficence, defined as actions guided by compassion. The act of caring and taking time to know our patients, becoming invested and connected with them in ways that are invaluable. The relationship between the nurse and the patient is intimate, vulnerable, and authentic. In BMT, our initial meetings are often just that. People living their lives are taken by complete surprise to hear the word cancer, to have their lives turned upside down, and to commit to hope for a cure. Our patients come in for care with hope and gratitude. They understand how fragile life is, and they do not take it for granted. They are committed to a partnership with us. Justice is the third principle, guiding our practice by equality and integrity for all patients. This goes for medical care, decision-making, and interventions. And lastly, non-maleficence. To do no harm. This is further described by the ANA as ensuring the safety of the patient and community in all care delivery. This has been crucial in our last year, to do what is best and safest for our patients, even when that means such hard decisions. These 4 principles guide our practice and care every day, to do what is right and just, to provide compassionate and dignified care to each patient, and to take the time to answer the phone calls from the concerned and caring family, to learn the patient's story, share in the joys of the parking lot parties, the Volkswagen bus parades, and the window visits from across the street, filled with signs, flowers, and loving messages of hope. To be the receiver of the clean clothing and the cookie deliveries from the valet parking, and ultimately to be the voice when they cannot. To shine our light in their darkest moments. We do all of this with the devotion and dedication to each patient. If I have learned anything during this pandemic, it is that only a very special love can give so selflessly. To commit to innovative methods in connecting and sharing their love with one another. We have seen this love over and over with you, our patients' families. Your dedication to them and their well-being is the love that is unconditional. We witness that on a daily. It is love with justice, beneficence, and non-maleficence. The relatability and connection that we are in this together, and the gratitude from the patient and family. That you understand, we too want what is best for the patient and family. We are connected, and we care about our patient. They are a person, a mom, a dad, son, daughter, or friend. They are any one of us, uprooted from their life and trusting in us to do right by them. We enter into this biological war with them, armed to combat their cancer with the best treatments available, to monitor and support as their body responds, to celebrate the first nudges in their blood counts to the official absolute neutrophil count, indicating that they have been grafted and that home is in their sight. We are there for their cancer journey as it twists and turns in unpredictable ways. And we are also met with smiles, kind inquiries of our own families. Our patients care and are invested in us as well. We have a special relationship with shared respect and trust in each other. Our patients stay under our care indefinitely, and we are so honored to care for them, from diagnosis to that point in time when we shift our focus of care to honoring those final wishes. A recent patient of mine reflected on our current times. He said, COVID has ruined so much. I miss my friends and family. I fear that no one will be able to make it to my funeral because of COVID. But I think I am saddest for you guys, braving this heartache and being here for each of us. Bob knew his body was failing him, and tough decisions were on the horizon. Bob was a family man, a kind husband, dad, and grandpa. Bob clearly knew what was important to him in life. He often spoke of his relationships with his friends and family. They were his why to continue treatment and ICU transfers. He wanted to give it his all, but after extensive treatments for cancer, Bob and his body were growing tired. He became increasingly somnolent, and we knew we needed to get Sue, his wife, permission to enter the hospital for a formal goals of care meeting. The morning that this was anticipated to happen, Sue was ill and needed to get COVID swabbed. This was devastating, knowing that she could not come in. This was taking up precious time that Bob did not have. With modifying our plan, we had our goals of care meeting over FaceTime, where Bob let his light shine. He held his phone and smiled when he saw his family. Sue, his daughter and granddaughter, all at home ready and waiting for him. Our multidisciplinary team took turns to ensure everyone was aware of the next steps. We shifted our focus of care from curative to comfort measures and explained that hospice would be arranged and an ambulance would take Bob home. Bob said with a sigh of relief, "Good, because I hate this smartphone. I don't know how to use it, and I can't see you." And Sue quickly reassured him, "You will never have to worry about calling me on it again, Bob. Just come home, and we can be together." I knew this was a win for Bob and Sue, to be home and surrounded by his family filled with love. For the 23-year-old with progressive disease and pain crises, to have devastating conversations alone, to live in the hurt and disappointment with no more options, to be a quiet presence and wipe his tear, offering to call his mom and sit in case he needed help finding the words, to ultimately learn his wishes, to be home and reunited with his family. And for the older gentleman who suffered, hoping so much for a miracle, with a dedicated and devoted wife at his side, with every intervention, position change, and care, she prayed for the same miracle. The immeasurable love and gratitude in that room was inspiring. The stories shared of their life together, their second home in the Philippines, and their love for each other and to travel. We too hoped for that same miracle. We offered space for them to process and grieve. In these times of isolation, we have worked harder than ever to offer support and comfort when families cannot be there. We continue to be present and connected. Know that with our best efforts, your loved ones who you have lost will be remembered by us as well. Know that the stories shared, the laughs, tears, and tender moments in between are carried with us and drive us every day. They and you made a difference in our lives too. Thank you for sharing them with us. Your loved ones will not be forgotten.
Thank you for that, Josette. And now please join me in welcoming our honored guest, Sherry Hicks, our family speaker, as she shares about her personal experience.
Thank you, Chaplain Bruce. As he said, my name is Sherry Hicks, and I'm honored to have this opportunity to tell you about the first true love of my life, the man who brought me into this world and showed me what it meant to live boldly. My father, Ron Harworth, who was a patient here from 2012 until he passed in 2018. Now, I'm a teacher by trade, and it's very unusual that I start a story at the end. However, today, that's what I'm going to do, is start at the end, when my father took his last breath. He was here at the University of Michigan Hospital, ICU. He was pretty much in and out of consciousness for 24 hours as he lay in the bed. You see, after his 6-year journey with a cancer known as multiple myeloma, his chemo had probably stopped working, and before his amazing oncologist could try a new treatment, my father suffered several bouts of internal bleeding, renal failure, and we knew his cancer had returned with a vengeance, possibly even in his skull. At the time, I was the one with Dad. It was out around 11 p.m. My mom and brother had left to get some rest at home. I was holding his hand, telling him that it was okay to go, stroking his hair. And although unconscious, I promised my dad that we would take care of Mom, even when he wasn't there. I remember saying to him, "Dad, if you see that bright light, that's your tea time with God. You better go and shoot a hole in one." The nurse assigned to my father was absolutely amazing. Pretty much that night, she walked me through death and helped me process what was happening to his physical body as his spirit was letting go of life. She let me have privacy, some intimate moments with my dad. I wasn't scared to touch him, and she assured me he could hear every word I was saying to him. She brought me a pillow, so from my chair I could lay my head on Dad's chest. I knew his breathing was getting shallower. I thought the end was near. And all of a sudden, this blanket that he had on the bed, I noticed it was dogs, Christmas dogs, and this was in April. Where did he get this Christmas fleece from? I'll let you know later. I think in the room there were even pastries and a pot of coffee for the family if we felt like it. It's all kind of a blur, except for when I felt like he took his last breath. I looked, and I thought he was gone, so I called the nurse. She confirmed what I imagined to be his last breath. I asked an odd question to the nurse. I said, "Do you have a pair of scissors? I'd like to snip a locket of my dad's hair." She didn't think it was odd at all, and in a matter of seconds, she had a pair of scissors, and she helped me bag Dad's locket of hair. Before I knew it, doctors were in the room, making his passing official. And of all the things I remember from that horrible, yet sentimental moment, the doctor who called the time of death, as I was fidgeting around not knowing what to do, he asked me, "What can I do for you? How are you? Do you need a ride home? Should I call someone?" All I could think of was, wow, I just need some water. He personally went and got me water to go so I could drive home without that parched mouth. Leaving my dad's body, it seemed surreal. It was lifeless. Yet, as I walked down the hall, I could hear the nurse talking to my father's body, knowing he was no longer there. That's the type of care everyone at the University of Michigan Hospital gave my dad. Driving home, I was filled with tears of sorrow and pain. Being there for the death of my father, and somehow knowing he was with me, I will never forget. This was only possible because of the amazing staff here at the University of Michigan Medicine. They know what to do. They knew how to support me and my family going through the death of a loved one, even when it's hard. Now, if we fast forward to the beginning of my dad's journey, it was April of 2012 when I got the phone call from Dad, the one we don't want to hear, the crack in Dad's voice like something was wrong. And he said, "Sherry, I have cancer." The words I dreaded hearing. However, he immediately received help from an oncologist in northern Michigan, which is where my parents resided at the time. However, due to that medical system's limitations, his oncologist referred him to the University of Michigan stem cell transplant team. I remember them making the trip, filled with all sorts of questions. But after they met with Dr. Powerroad and his team, and when I say team, this is a large team. They talked to people in the heart department, in the lung department. They talked to Dr. Powerroad and nurses. He had lab work done. They took time with this big spiral notebook to tell them what the exact process would be like for him, for my mother, and for the year to follow his transplant. They gave my parents so much information, they were, I'm sure, in overload as they left the hospital that day. But I can't tell you how important it was to them that this team gave them so much information and treated them in a personable way. This is what you need, I believe, in making a life, or possibly death, determination for your own medical future. This team gave them the peace they needed to make the decision to go forward with a stem cell transplant. And my father, who could be a stubborn man, agreed wholeheartedly. Those 13 days on the 8th floor of Mott was tough for all of us, but especially Father. His immune system was totally wiped out. 0 white blood cells to fight infection. And then they returned his blood cancer-free to his body. They threw a mini birthday party, if you will. There was a card that all the nurses and staff signed, giving him a new birth date to a disease that would be in remission, or at least not so aggressive. I remember a nurse walking in and said, "Ron, your hair's fallen all over that pillowcase. Why don't you just shave it off?" Of course, I jumped at that opportunity, brought in clippers the next day, and shaved Dad's head. Once again, the U of M staff gave us great coping skills and laughter in a time that seemed dark. This is the theme that we hear over and over, that this University of Michigan medicine team always has a bunch of people with gifts that come together. In this particular situation, it was the people who took his meal order on the phone, the art and music therapists that visited him, social workers, doctors, the security guy on the floor, the folks who cleaned. Our experience with his stem cell transplant was positive because of all those folks, and I'm sure there's so many more that I've forgotten today. He healed in record time, and for such an old guy, that was quite a miracle to get out of there within less than 2 weeks. He was on his way back north in a cancer-free body, thanks to the stem cell transplant team. Well, Dad's cancer wasn't quite gone as long as he wanted, but when his multiple myeloma returned, he was put in the hands of Dr. Craig Cole, a clinician that handled multiple myeloma. This hematologist gave my father the best quality of life with the least evasive medicine to control his cancer numbers. And he gave him the gift of living to see his grandson play flag football, watching his own son build his business up over the next several years. He traveled with my mom. They went many places, and he created endless memories, not only with the love of his life and our family, but also their many friends. You wouldn't even know that he had cancer by the life he was leading. Dr. Cole was the most down-to-earth guy, according to my dad. He's not the typical doctor type. I didn't know what to think of that until I met him. And one day, he was telling us a very technical, scientific type of treatment, and what he was doing was drawing with a Sharpie marker on the back of a piece of paper so we could understand at the everyday level what treatment choices were there for Dad. Dr. Cole created a bond with my father. They often harassed each other about the Detroit Tigers' losing or winning streak. They talked about Star Wars, and even after they got to know each other, they shared stories about their children. He wasn't a typical person according to Dad, but because I know this system well, this is how our doctors roll. Now, Dad would tell you that Dr. Cole was more like a cheerleader. He would say to Dad, "Now, Ron, you just worry about your golf game and don't you worry about treatment. I'll take care of how you feel. You start swinging a club." And that was true. He golfed 3 weeks up till the day he passed. Now, Dr. Cole wasn't a one-man show. And again, we came to this multidisciplinary team approach to healing my father's cancer. It was evident once again to us that the nutritionist, the pain clinic, the therapist, the nurses, the schedulers, pharmacists, and many more worked together. They made my parents feel like they could travel even down to Florida for 3 months in their golden years. Just amazing care. So you see, as I sat next to my father dying in ICU, there was no regrets. He lived 6 glorious years with this deadly disease. No one would have really known how sick he was until just before he passed. My mom never questioned if he was getting the best care. She knew his treatment to rid his body of the disease was cutting edge. Yes, maybe he got multiple myeloma when he served in Vietnam by Agent Orange. But the thing is, we had peace right here in the Blue and Maize Army. The University of Michigan medicine employees held my father in their arms, each of them offering their special gift to Ron Harworth as he battled for his life. After saying my final goodbye to Dad, the nurse handed me that blanket. Remember I said it was dogs and Christmas, this green fuzzy blanket? Well, that's what the nurse had left on her care cart that she tucked around my dad to make him warm and cozy. Well, my son now, who is 15, sleeps with his grandpa blanket every single night. I still get choked up. This was a tangible gift used to soothe the young boy who lost his dear grandfather. He was the one who taught him to fish and golf. But our family took away many intangible gifts over the last 6 years from each and every Michigan medicine. From each and every Michigan medicine warrior that fights to keep people living life and then supports the family when their loved one's gone. Thank you to all of you who made this journey the best. God bless.
I'm so glad you were able to be here and share those memories. Thank you, Sherry. Joining us now with a reading from the tradition of Islam, from the Department of Spiritual Care, Imam Kamau Ayubi.
Thank you, Chaplain Bruce. Look at Love by Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. Look at love, how it tangles with the one fallen in love. Look at spirit, how it fuses with the earth, giving new life. Why are you so busy with this or that, or good or bad? Pay attention to how things blend. Why talk about all the known and unknown? See how the unknown merges into the known. Why think separately of this life and the next, when one is born from the last? Look at your heart and tongue. One feels but deaf and dumb. The other speaks in words and signs. Look at water and fire, earth and wind, enemies and friends all at once. The wolf and the lamb, the lion and the deer, far away, yet together. Look at the unity of all this, spring and winter manifested in the equinox. You too must mingle, my friends, since the earth and sky are mingled just for you and me. Be like sugarcane, sweet yet silent. don't get mixed up with bitter words. Our beloved grows right out of our own hearts. How much more union can there be? And from the Holy Quran, O tranquil soul, return to your Lord, well pleased and pleasing to him, and enter among my righteous servants, and enter my paradise.
Thank you, Imam Kamau. For our final speaker today, I am pleased to introduce, from the Department of Hospice and Palliative Care, Dr. Adam Marks.
Thank you, Reverend. As a palliative care physician, I meet with a lot of patients and families faced with a serious illness. For some of them, their illness is at the terminal stage, and our conversations become focused on how they want to spend whatever time they have left. At times like those, rather than focus on the disease, I get to focus on the individual in front of me. What has attracted me to this line of work is the stories I get to hear. Stories about a 50-year marriage, stories about their service in the armed forces, stories about their life and the people in it. These stories are what give meaning to our lives, and at the end of the day, these stories define who we are. Every day, I have a profound sense of gratitude that I get to be the kind of doctor who worries less about the numbers, about the test results, and more about hearing from patients and families about what gives their life a sense of meaning. This work gives me a window into a very personal, intimate time in an individual's life, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marks. And now, accompanied by music from our own Bob Huffman and Greg Maxwell, we dedicate this time to honor your loved ones, cherish their memories, and celebrate their light. It's such a moving tribute to so many. Thanks for sharing this time with us. Now, with one final reading about remembering, in the tradition of Judaism, please welcome Rabbi Sarah Adler.
Thank you, Reverend Bruce. At the rising sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
Thank you, Rabbi Sarah. Please enjoy a moment of music with Bob Huffman and Greg Maxwell on guitars and Tracy Huffman on vocals.
Lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and think of you, caught up in circles. Confusion is nothing new. Flashback to warm nights almost left behind. Suitcase of memories. Time after sometimes you picture me. I'm walking too far ahead. You're calling to me. I can't hear what you've said. Then you say to go slow. I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. watching through windows, you're wondering if I'm okay, but you say to go slow. I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time.
How fitting that seems. Thank you so much for that, Bob, Greg, and Tracy. As we come to a close, we have come together virtually to remember and to honor all of those who have died over the past 2 years with the common connection of Michigan medicine and humanity. Not as patients or clients, but as people, loved and missed. We are thankful for each one of them and the light they left in our lives. May peace and healing embrace each person here. May the blessing of light be upon us as we continue to remember those who have died. May the treasured memories comfort us, for they have left a light in our hearts that will shine forever. May their light gleam bright as we continue to heal. May their legacy of love and light live on through all the lives they touched, and may each of us find and connect with the source of our peace as we gaze at the shining stars. Amen. This concludes our program. Thank you all for participating and sharing your loved ones with us. Peace be with you all.